American iron supplements, as I learned from your ad, ordinary iron doesn't work. At a big grocery store, I found jars of 60 capsules, I guess, but this was just a dietary supplement, not a new element. I was taking it the whole summer as I ran out of Synthesate. I thought to take such an experimental break for half a year. For about 3.5–4 months, I was taking this iron every day along with vitamins, just like a dietary supplement. I didn't have the slightest effect. Nothing. Boris is in the USA, Virginia. He's been living there for many years. Tasteless vegetables, almost tasteless fruit. Tomatoes have no taste or smell at all, for example. I took the first capsule, and I expected nothing. So I was sitting, as usual, at my computer, and something made me sit up straight. I was hunched over my computer, but something started inside of me. I felt like I was 20 years old over time, not immediately, 2 or 3 weeks after, and I still have this feeling. Hello, dear viewers. My name is Alexander. We are on the channel of the Bioactive Mineral Synthesate. Today we have a guest, a synthesate consumer. His name is Boris. He is on the other side of the world. We are in Sochi. Boris is in the USA, Virginia. He's been living there for many years, and Boris has also tried the Bioactive Mineral Synthesate and has experienced its benefits. He tried taking other iron supplements in order to compare them all. Once again, Boris, hello. Tell us what has happened to you, what interesting changes, observations do you have now? Hello. First, to emphasize the positive impact of Synthesate or not, but I don't look very good now, at my 60 years, or maybe more. I'm overweight because of the quarantine. I had to stay at home and also sit here with my child. No mobility, and my appearance confirms my age, despite Synthesate intake. If I do a little physical exercise or yoga fasting, then the face features are slightly smoothed. I look an indefinite age, 40 years old. Synthesate also somehow rejuvenated me. I've known about Synthesate, Vladislav Karabana, for a long time, when they represented it for the first time in Switzerland. But basically, in the mid-80s, I heard that somewhere in Russia, in Novosibirsk academic town, new elements were obtained. There was technology to obtain gold from a number of metals in a lab. Alchemy and nothing new. Some knowledge apparently remained from the previous civilization, which we used. I also thought that Synthesate, since it renews hematopoiesis, improves and renews blood cells, that the secret military medicine should have thought about it in the 40s or 60s for the treatment of radiation-induced leukemia. That is, this medicine should be for the military, so you have problems with the connection. First is the appearance. Second, I did various kinds of yoga exercises, different kinds of yoga and meditation. I even ran my own club in Novosibirsk a little, taught people, even I tried to treat them. So I usually tracked all my sensations, and I know well, so I know what I'm talking about. I wanted to try this Synthesate, a new element. Does this concept really work? Do new elements extend life and renew everything? Despite the fact that in my youth I was engaged in yoga and physical education, running for many hours, almost every day laid on the snow, sometimes dived into an ice hole. In childhood, I neglected being inactive and immobile. My shoulders dropped. I sat hunched over a computer up to 16 hours, as I was interested in politics a lot. Sometimes I made my own conclusions, published posts. By the way, it was delivered very fast, 5-6 days without problems, and it was delivered directly home. No complaints with the customs. So I took the first capsule. I didn't expect anything. Sat as usual, hunched over the computer, plus dehydration, since coffee removes water from the body. There is constant dehydration in Americans, and something made me sit straight. I was arched backward after nearly 30-40 minutes. I was surprised. This happened when I was young, when I did the exercises. I know that I should maintain a correct posture, and I taught others to do so. And since then, I generally haven't hunched over. That's very strange. The first effect was this. I emailed to Vladislav Alexandrovich about it later the same evening. It intensified, and as everyone says, it's an inner feeling. It's not a stimulant, and not like caffeine, not even like eleuterococcus. It's something internal. Outwardly, you look your age, but inside, something has started. And I felt as if I was 20 years old over time, not immediately after 3 weeks. And since then, it has remained. It's interesting. Here, the Americans have gold, silver solutions, all kinds of nanometals. There are no effects, but it seems to help the brain work, maybe. But in general, I had no effects from this. It costs $20 per bottle. It's not very expensive, it's a weak solution. I tested Synthesit myself and the question arose, maybe I have an iron deficiency. Everyone knows, and there are articles, that foods are low in micronutrients right now. Therefore, Americans need taking a lot of vitamins and supplements, that I also do. If you don't take vitamins separately, then you feel hungry constantly. The body needs micronutrients, but it does not get them from food. Here we have tasteless vegetables, almost tasteless fruit. Tomatoes have neither taste nor smell at all, for example. That's why I thought maybe over the years this iron deficiency has accumulated in the body. And I thought maybe to try American iron for comparison. From your ad, I know that ordinary iron does not work. There is a lot of such stuff here. There are vitamin sections everywhere. Just in a big grocery store I found jars containing 60 capsules. It's an ordinary supplement, not a new element. I've been taking it the whole summer. I thought to take such an experimental break for half a year. For about 3.5-4 months, I took this iron every day, along with vitamins, like a dietary supplement. I didn't have the slightest effect, nothing. As if I had not taken nothing. I ran out of the iron supplement and stopped taking it. In autumn, 4 or 5 months after taking Synthesit, there was a sensation that the body started to dump old blood and something with this old blood. Sometimes I was fasting for a day or two. Just recently I had yoga fasting for 9 days. I didn't do any exercises. The food was common and standard, and such effects could not occur. But I have the feeling that the body got rid of some old trash, including maybe even some of the blood. These old blood cells or something, maybe it's again very unclear. I faced this and so far have not seen it, have not read about it. There are no opinions on this regard. A couple of months ago, in a Russian store, here we have a whole network of them, and everyone calls them Russians. There's food from East Europe, Poland and Baltics, Ukraine, from everywhere. The conversation went on. I recommended Synthesit. In my opinion, they were interested. And they asked me, maybe you finished the intake. These effects and benefits disappeared, and everything is gone. The impact is over. I said no, apparently it remains steadily. 6 months have passed, there are no such changes. And recently I thought maybe half a year, the body is old and maybe it will make the state of the bone marrow and hematopoietic cell in accordance with age. Their number will decrease again. But I've just thought about it. There were no feelings, such an inner cheerfulness. I started doing a little physical exercises. I started home repair and renovation. The thirst for some action appeared, which I had when I was 20 or 30 years old. And when I was 35, it already disappeared. So I ordered more for the whole family. 3 jars for 3 people. I started taking it, but I didn't experience the same sharp effect. Yes, there is something, it works, but not as dramatically and effectively as at the very beginning. There is a very positive impact. Again, it's a feeling of renewal, even of internal rejuvenation. Somewhere inside, in the organs, in the blood. Now it goes with accelerated force. Though I look my age, but recently I lost 7 kilograms, 9 days of fasting. A little physical exercises, but it was even worse before. My wife said yesterday that I look like an 80-year-old man. I hadn't been out much since June. All these military reconstructions. In total, there were no more than 6 days that I have managed to have a whole day walk this year due to quarantine. Okay, Boris, to make it clear for our viewers, look, you said that when you started taking Synthesit for the second time, there were no such noticeable sensations like the first time, and you are not the only one who actually have noticed it. I want to note it, a remark, when a person starts taking Synthesit for the first time and receives this bioactive element, he or she clearly feels the difference between his previous state and the one that they start experiencing. When you have a short break and then start to take it again, your body is no longer in the same state that it was before the first intake, and therefore the difference does not seem so noticeable. Our nervous system still gets used to it and already has moved to a new level of perception. It's another level. Therefore, there is no such bright sensation as it was the first time of taking Synthesit. It's not a stimulant. Yes, I had a failure. The video was frozen. At what point? That there are no such bright sensations. Well, once again, the body, nervous system, in principle, get used to it. That is, there is such a thing as a habit, adaptation, tolerance, and so on. That is, when you have already started taking Synthesit and you start taking it for the second time later, respectively, you no longer have that harsh gap between the states, which you had before taking Synthesit, and the one you started taking it for the second time. Roughly speaking, you can't feel the same energy level, not because there is no such a level, but because you are already at a high level. It is a remark for our viewers who will watch us later. Not for you, as maybe you somehow guessed it yourself, especially for the viewers, because some who take it for the second time say that there are no such bright sensations as they experienced the first time, but at least in psycho-emotional terms, there is no such a strong motivation because the person is already at a different level. In order to feel the same, a user needs, I don't know, to wait a year after taking Synthesit, somewhere like that, maybe 1 year and a half. so that he or she returns to the previous energy level, but the question why to get back to that previous state. Boris, I have one more question for you. So you said about the inner state of vigor, youth, and your shoulders straightened. And what's for your sleep? Maybe some diseases, organs, asthma, skin, nails. Are there any comments and observations? I had no diseases except for chronic bronchitis. The climate here is strange. Sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's not. And then some viruses go around, and this flu does not go away. Sometimes in winter it's twice a month, and it was very mild symptoms. It's like you are ill with the coronavirus all the time, but taking short breaks. But sometimes it happens in winter, once you get sick over the winter. There really is a temperature, but there is nothing at all, a slight malaise. Perhaps in this very aspect it's easier now. I didn't pay attention to it before. I went to work, was engaged in activity. In this regard, it's easier now. In addition, sometimes I have kind of a skin rash. There you can get a lot of any kind of infections, but it's a mere trifle. I didn't have any particular disease, neither cold nor bronchitis, that I left in Siberia. And I wasn't so young back then. Well, I left when I was almost 35 years old. Generally, I feel younger and more athletic, as if I was 30. And I deal with all these health issues easier. I mean, I don't notice it at all. I feel myself actually healthy. But I didn't pay attention to these small sores before. But now they have even disappeared. Okay, important detail for those viewers who missed the first part of our talk. Boris had a break after the first intake of Synthesit, and during that break, he was taking some ordinary iron supplements. He bought them in a store. Some of our consumers who already get the results from Synthesit, when they speak with their relatives, friends, acquaintances, they say that this is the autosuggestion. Take and buy ordinary iron, the iron citrate or iron chelate, take it in higher dosage than Synthesit, and you will get the same results. But as a rule, it all does not end well. Therefore, our dear viewers, if you have already made a decision to take Synthesit, then you cannot replace it with anything. It has no analogues at the moment in nature, in principle not on sale. That is, you will not find something with similar effects and benefits, and with ordinary iron intake you can get serious intoxication up to serious intestinal lesions, because all this is quite toxic, especially in high dosage. Dear Boris, this information was for our viewers, not for you. And thank you for your time. I wish you good health and get healthier further, so that everything gets better for you and you live enjoying life without any worries and troubles. Thank you very much.